Schools of fish. Sure, we could have tied it up in a bow for the audience and force-fed them, I suppose. But Len and I knew what we were going after, that ambiguous power of individual choice. We had hoped that the ending would cause an introspective question to each audience member after they themselves were being manipulated for the last 80 minutes. Were they, in fact, part of the school themselves, or the lone fish that would swim to the beat of their individual verdict? The stage goes dark. Jim makes a beeline for the safe haven backstage to collect himself. He stands for a moment, taking it all in, and then he hears it. It was much louder than the hospital wing, and it was one of the sweetest sounds he had ever heard. He appeared from the backstage darkness to take center stage and to reap the applause of the few hundred people in attendance. He honed in on his proud parents and a few familiar faces, but it was the applause coming from the strangers that was the reward. It filled his soul with a purpose, and he wished that moment would never end. The adventure would continue as the show ran for a total of 9 months, allowing Jim the opportunity to dive deeper into these three dynamic characters. Damn the consequences. The acting fires were lit, and from its flames birthed a signature weapon. The sword of ego would begin to consume his quest to stardom. That bloodlust for applause and for creative attention has also led many to an inevitable showdown at the crossroads in their acting career, one where they stand before the devil and bargain for their right to the spotlight. It is definitely not a business for those with thin skin, nor is it a healthy business for those who want shallow fame. Jim and his ego were caught somewhere in the middle. That middle found him, as it did most times, surrounded by actors in a nondescript casting office. This particular office was run by a well-known casting director, and Jim was auditioning for an underwear campaign. Surrounded by men, he patiently waited until the last model exited the room and his name was called. In he went. He was greeted with a drooling, wet smile, soft eyes, and an even softer voice from the man behind the desk. "Those are some tight jeans, Mr. Gardner," the devil said. To which Jim responded, "Thanks. It's hard finding jeans that fit." "Where did you get those legs?" the man then whispered. "Rowing," Jim responded. The man looked down at Jim's headshot and then casually said, "Please take off your jeans." It was an underwear campaign after all, so off the jeans went. The casting director's eyes peered up and fixated on his prey like some ravenous beast on the Serengeti. Jim could feel the eyes burning through him, or rather, through his crotch. Then he slowly stood and said the following as if Satan himself was speaking. "Take your underwear down." There was a moment of contemplation. That's what this business can do to one's soul looking for the next ego win. In this case, the always quick on his feet Jim nodded and responded, "If they go down, you'll be picking up your teeth." I can still see that weasel cowering behind his desk. I wonder how many victims he had over the years, how many young men at his beck and call with their hopes and dreams cradled in his greasy palms. I quickly got dressed, made a beeline for the door, but I distinctly remember turning back and shooting that creep my middle finger for good measure. Needless to say, I never got a call back from that casting office. And as I walked home on the streets of New York City, I was sure it wouldn't be the last of my trips to the crossroads. The actor's life is a double-edged sword, for sure.